We are live right now. I know this isn't John Rawlings, but John Rawlings is out of town right now. He will be coming on and we will be live on air once he does. But because of Facebook, hello, I'm Marie Labraz. I'm one of the show hosts with the radio station, but I also tech John's show all the time now. And one of the reasons that we're using this formatting is because of COVID. And also, when John travels, we're able to actually still do the show for wherever people are around the world, not even just locally or even in the state, around the world. And today, his guest is Pete Emerich. Did I say that right?
Emerich, close, yes, very close.
Emerich. Emerich. And he's a city commissioner with the city of Northport. And you don't see his picture, but when John gets on, I'll actually go grab a picture of Pete so we can put it up. So you know what he looks like. Now, Pete, you're with the city commission, but you also are a person, a real life person, even though everybody's seen a black screen of you.
Yes, I am.
And yeah, and with that, you're married to a very wonderful woman.
Yeah, everybody keeps telling me that. I've only been with her for 30 years, so I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, and one of the things that really surprised me before you were ever elected to the city commission or whatever is you're a motorcycle rider.
Yes, I've had Harleys all my life.
Yeah,
I,
let's talk a little bit about that because I want people to know a little bit about the man behind the mask of the motorcycle.
uh-huh.
Yes, how did that all happen? Tell me a little bit about your background.
Well, I grew up on a farm, and my first motorcycle, believe it or not, I was 16, and my dad bought it, and it was like a little M165 Harley Davidson. It was a three-speed off-road, on-road bike, and we used it to chase cows down. So I would ride in the fields and stuff, when it wasn't snowing up there. So I got a little niche of it, and I've always enjoyed being on a motorcycle. So I've had them all my life. Elaine's been part of it, and we've graduated up with our age and some of our little difficulties in life. So we've got a trike now to where she actually rides on the back, so it's like riding on a throne.
Oh, so she's the queen on
She
your
is she is the queen.
that is, and you're the livery man just taking her around, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's no kingship here. I'm just her little pawn.
Oh, well, that's the way it should be because let me tell you what your wife has accomplished this year. Teaming up with the Kiwanis along with Justin in the city, picking up some of that stuff. And I know this isn't what the show is about today, but until John gets here,
Oh, no, that's fine.
you got me. so,
That's
so that's who you have. Anyhow, Pete, how did you and Elaine meet?
that's a really weird story because she worked in a Circle K that was right around from my house where I lived at, and I was doing concrete at the time with my brother-in-law. And we stopped in one night, and I was getting beer and cigarettes, and I was in a rush. It was a tough day, and she was very nice, and I just really didn't say much, and I walked on by and got my stuff and left. And then a couple of days later, I was back in there, and I thought about it, and I said, I'm sorry I was awful rude to you the other day. And she goes, "Oh, that's no problem." I says, "No, seriously, I thought about it. I was very rude, and I wanted to apologize." And then we set up a date, and it's been history from that point on. 30 years later.
30 years later. So where was that at? What city?
That was over in Eldrubine. I lived in Inglewood from 78 to 89, and I met Elaine in 89, and then about 6 months later, we moved together to Northport, and I've been in Northport ever since.
That's amazing. So you've been here in Southwest Florida, well, just this area, since 1978. Now, were you when you moved here, were you still in school? No, you're older like me, aren't you?
Nope, I actually graduated high school in Punta Gorda, which is Charlotte High School, the home of the Tarpons. and I graduated there in 1980, and then I went into the service for 3 years and came back at the end of 83 and been here ever since.
Very interesting. I did not know all this about you. So Charlotte High School, you had your choice back then because Northport did not have a high school. So, and was Inglewood's open at that time, the high school?
Nope, actually, Lemon Bay was 1 year behind. They went up to like middle school, and then they added a different class each time, like your freshman, your junior, your sophomores, then junior, then senior. They just had not made it to my grade. I moved down when I was a junior. They had sophomores at the school, and then the following year, my sister is 3 years behind me. She was actually the first graduating class out of Lemon Bay, but I lived a quarter mile from Lemon Bay High School and had to get on a bus and go all the way to Punta Gorda every day.
Yeah, and the people, if you were just for a lot of giving people a background history, and it's not when they did integration, the people from the, if you were of color, you had to go all the way down to Dunbar, down in Fort
Oh, yeah.
Myers. Yeah, and that was crazy. And after integration, which was the late 60s, then Charlotte High School integrated. They were actually, Charlotte High School was one of the first schools in the state of Florida that integrated. So it was done behind closed doors. I do history, so
No, that's cool because
yeah,
Inglewood was actually broken up because it's half Sarasota County and half Charlotte County. And the property line there for the counties is basically the Beach Road. So anybody from Beach Road North went to Venice, and anybody from Beach Road South had to go to Punta Gorda.
and I'm doing a series with Joan Morgan about the history of Northport. We started doing it last year, and we've had Gene Matthews come on, and we're actually going to be kicking it up again starting after the first of the year because you have to get the history of those people in their own voices.
Oh,
And
absolutely. But here's a little bit of history for you since you brought up Joan. Ed Morgan was my senior advisor in Charlotte High School. So he was in charge of my senior class when I graduated. And then they moved to Inglewood, and he was a teacher for my sister. And my sister came home one day. Oh, she was so mad. I go, "Why are you mad?" She says, "Well, I got one of your teachers." And he says, "Emerich." I remember that name. "I hope you're nothing like your brother." And she was mad because she already had a black mark just by going to class. So it was fun.
that is hysterical. And
I've
it was
told
Joan.
that story.
Yeah. And Joan was telling me when we've done the history that there was only one traffic light between Northport and Charlotte High School, and there was and you could just it was speed limit of 70, and you just flew down the road because there was no people living here, pretty much. You know,
Right.
pretty
From
much.
Inglewood down through, it was all cow pastures, and then you knew where to turn because the All Britain's fruit stand would be on the left hand side, so you would just make a turn.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So it's interesting because I'll have to have you someday about the history of your history because
Oh,
I'm trying to get the people that really lived here at that time because the people now don't understand. Even with Rich that owns Caddy Cars, he used to live over in the Englewood, and he had to go to the Venice school, and he took his boat. He took his boat and parked in the canal, or to go to high school.
yep, I
And
believe that.
yeah, and it was such a different time for all of you there growing up in this area. And so, what do you remember your fondest memories of growing up here? Because there weren't a lot of people, so you could actually go party on the beach and all that kind of stuff.
And I did that many a day. I guess the best part, I came from a very small town up in upstate New York. It's 100 miles north of Syracuse, and it was a cow town, dairy farming, and we had one school up there, and it was K through 12, and there was 300 students in the whole school. If I would have graduated up there, I would have been like number 16 in the graduating class. So when I moved down here, I graduated with about 300 to 500 students. So it was definitely a change, but I got a job at Publix. I was 16. I was started out as a bag boy and then went to stocking. But when I wasn't in school or at work, we were at the beach, absolutely having, illegal beer. But I
Yeah.
don't go to jail for it now. But yeah, that's where people hung out. There was an old movie theater over there in Palm Plaza. That's where all the kids hung out on like a Friday and Saturday night. So, and it didn't cost you anything to go do that. You just hang out and have a good time. So times were a lot different back then.
Yeah, times were much more innocent. I don't know if it's the advance of the internet that makes everything so accessible right now, and we want instantaneous gratification. I'm going to respond to Carrie. Where is John? John is trying to get up into his room to get set up to come on the show, and I want to explain this to anybody that's watching. We do streaming, and with Facebook, you only have a 10-minute window once you schedule it. Otherwise, the people, and it doesn't matter to you guys out there, but to us in the background teching and that, I only have a 10-minute window from when it's scheduled. So he's on for an hour anyhow, and he will have to be off for the radio station, and he's in the background, not we can't see him yet, but he's supposed to be setting up right now to come in to his show. And I told him, you have your guest Pete here, and Pete is using an Apple system, and they have to be on Safari when they're coming into the stream. Different than Zoom or anything like this. This is a specific thing that we have to do. That's why you don't see Pete up on the screen, but I'm going to go, as soon as I get John in, I'm going to go get a picture of Pete and put him up on the screen so you know he's in the background. That's his voice talking. I do that for some of the other shows that people don't have the tech knowledge to do some of that. So I just wanted to address that with people out there wondering, why the heck is Marie on John's show, and why is the screen black for although you can hear his voice? So that is the explanation behind that. And it's the holidays. It's 2020. You know, the strangest things have happened this year. It's not even today in my personal life, and I'm sure Pete, you're with the city. Things are not what we consider normal this year, and things are happening, and I've got to the point, I just go, oh, it's 2020, anything's going to happen. I'm waiting for the aliens invasion. I'm waiting for us to be taken over by aliens. Why not?
People say it in jest, but I mean, and when 2021 comes along, I just hope that 2021 doesn't say, hey, 2020, hold my beer, and things really get worse. I'm hoping and I'm praying that come 2021 it will be the upstart, to where we can get back to normal. But
Right.
so many people out there that are still living in the negativity, and it's very tough to get them out of that. It's very, very tough. It has been a tough year for everybody.
And your friend John Cook said, oh, please, you don't have to put up a picture of Pete. So we have a really special guest with us right now, and we're bringing him up on screen. Yay! John is in the yay! And
I made it.
You made it. Are you live yet on air?
I am. I'm live on air, and I've got everything going there. Double checking. Yep, we're definitely streaming. We're good to go.
Okay. Well,
Pete, how you doing, buddy?
He didn't hear you.
I'm good. How you doing, Pete?
I'm doing good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I just had to get up and shut the door because my dogs are barking since they heard.
Well, I'm going to say goodbye to you guys. This is John's show. And everybody have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holiday.
Merry Christmas.
Connected to iPhone and desktop PG7GB3N.
You still there, Pete?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, awesome. I had just a small delay there, technical difficulty. Got it back up and running. Just to double check the streaming. We're good with the radio station. So I hear you were talking a little bit about 2020 and everything that's going on there and the negative side of things. What are some of the positive things that have come out of 2020?
And around here, what I'm seeing is especially this time of year, Elaine and I, we always get together and, we help unfortunate people out there that may not have everything in life that they need. And we try to make it a little bit better. But the community coming together this year has been phenomenal. I mean, we've had some, like the Kiwanis, just to name one, when City Hall couldn't do Halloween. Elaine and Justin and, a lot of people just got together and said, oh, no, we've got to make something happen. And they did. And when, like right now, tonight, there's a little parade that's going to go out because the city had to shut down the parade because we only had like 8 floats that were going to come into the parade. And most of them were city people that were doing it. And to put on a production like that, we had to look at the reality of saving the tax dollars. And because it's a phenomenal cost to the city. We don't mind spending that money for the community, but when it wasn't warranted, we just had to make that hard decision and shut it down this year. Because if we don't have people participating in the parade, how do we know what type of people are going to participate to come and watch the parade?
Right.
So, it was a very hard decision to make, but it was one that had to be done. But that doesn't mean the community's not getting together to help all these people. I mean, Elaine's up to over 100 different families that we've helped so far this year, and my living room's still full of stuff for people, that'll be going out this week. So that's just something that we do.
Well, and our community tends to step their game up. That's the one thing I know for a fact about our community is we kind of never leave anybody behind. We've got too many organizations out there that work really hard, including the city of Northport. Social services department does a phenomenal job. Shop with a Cop is an amazing organization, and they keep that going every year. What you guys do with what Elaine does and Justin with some of the extra things that you guys are doing. But you're right. It's extremely difficult to gauge in today's arena that we have to deal with the things that you can and cannot do, or even worse than that, are you going to get the support if you even pull it off? And I often use my Buckeye group as a gauge on how the communities react, and that group, and it's usually over 100 people for a football game, and we barely hit 50 the other day. So 50% occupancy is not something that you could pull off a huge event like you guys do with Christmas and the parade and everything else. It would be such an absorbent cost to the city, I believe. And your thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've got a lot of manpower that's involved with police, fire. You've got city staff when you set up stuff around City Hall and everything. It is a large undertaking. It's well worth it if you have the community participation, but not knowing and only having 8 floats in a parade, you're going, well, it might not be worthwhile, because you don't have the participation on one side. Are you really going to have it on the other? And that's, as a board, I believe we voted 5-0 to go ahead and not have it this year and hope for the better for next year and save those tax dollars.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but we're not the only city that's making those assessments.
Oh, no. There's a lot of cities that are doing the same things, and some cities are doing other things that could have been done, like a virtual type parade, which we've done for the Memorial and Veterans Day. We did all that stuff virtually with only a handful of people showing up but we wanted to make sure that everybody was recognized and just go ahead and let the community be involved as they could. We set up stuff at City Hall. There's the picture. There's my beautiful bride.
Yep.
But we set up City Hall to where they could do a drive-through in the safety of their vehicles. And then this way, if they didn't want to get out and participate, that was fine. Because, you got a lot of people out there that, could possibly be carrying it and not knowing it. So, distancing is well warranted right now.
And that's CDC guidelines of what event. I don't know if I want to call it an event because I like events to be positive, but this whole thing is taking the city some time to get everything lined up the way they were supposed to. And I interview Public Works, I interview Parks and Rec, and city commissioners, and I know how hard it is to get these things organized on a regular basis, let alone with all of the regulations and the stipulations that you guys have to have in place when you do a COVID event. It's not an easy task.
Right. And we did do the tree lighting ceremony, and we had a good showing for that. I mean, there was possibly a few hundred people out there, not like normal, but we did the tree lighting event. There was a little festivities going on. I think there was a few food trucks out there. I think Mr. Ed was out there with his ice creams and hot cocoa, but everybody was dispersing fairly quickly. So the event didn't go on very long. It maybe lasted an hour, and people were they had enough and they were going home. They enjoyed it for a little bit and then they left. So it wasn't a huge event, but people still got to participate and see the tree lit at City Center Green.
And we still have the Christmas cards up. I just drove through there the other day and those look nice.
Yep. The Kiwanis make sure that those go up every year. And it's phenomenal. It's tradition. And I'm glad that we were able to make it happen.
Well, and I think that's the biggest thing that we all run into, no matter what we're supporting, what event we're supporting, is that in 2020, a lot of traditions have been lost.
Sure. Yeah.
And keeping the ones we can alive, I think that says something for our community as a whole, but it also gives us a chance to recoup and come into 21 with maybe a brighter light at the end of the year.
Right. And I'm hoping for that because right now I'm in the process of me and a few partners, we're creating a production company, and we're going to be putting on events starting as early as next year. And we're going to have a board meeting here next week. And that's what we're trying to figure out. What's our timetable? Are we going to be able to do something in the spring, or do we have to wait till summer, to where we can get the participation for people out there? We're going to be putting on like blowout concerts to where you have 3 or 4 bands going on in one afternoon. And it's going to be, for the community. But we don't know if we will be able to do that. So it's kind of hard to set dates and make reservations and get everything lined up, so we got to do it way out in advance now. Yep,
absolutely. Do you see 21 as a restart for us on a lot of things?
I think it's going to be a new beginning on a lot of things, to be honest with you, where it comes down to politics and also, medical. They've got the vaccine coming out. There's people pro and against it. I understand that. And everybody has their rights. But is it going to be a good thing? Is it going to be a bad thing? To me, it's a learning curve. We're going to find out if that stuff's going to work and we can get back to normal. That's the only way we can do it, is trial and error. And now I like the one with Elaine in it better. She covers me up. But we've got a special election coming up for the city of Northport as well. So there's so many changes in the works that, I mean, being a part of the commission, sometimes it does make your head spin on, holy cow, how messed up was 2020. We went through so many things. We talked the other night when I ran into you, or you ran into me 14 times. But
yes,
we were just talking about, how everything, not only did we have COVID, but we had a lot of issues within the city as well on top of COVID. So it was a very difficult year here for Northport.
And not just us, and I'm not trying to gloss it over any for Northport at all, but we're still building in Northport. Northport is booming right now, even though we have COVID. So there is still some positive in there. The building has not slowed down.
Correct. But the one thing that you can look at that on the bright side, or you can look at it and in the taxpayer's eyes, because we need more commercial development.
We do, and that's slow.
Before we need more residential. I'm not saying nobody come to Northport. I'm saying please come to Northport. But residential's cost. Commercial doesn't cost as much. They actually subsidize the residential rooftops. So we need to up our game in commercial, and that's where economic development comes into play. We need to start attracting these businesses. We got to have people wanting to come here. Our numbers are getting to the point where certain businesses, that's their locator. Okay, you've got 80,000 people, we're coming. But when you had 50,000 people, you were getting the auto parts stores, the mattress stores. That's what their prerogative was on numbers. We're getting up there. We've got our hotel now that's open and they're doing good, the Hampton Inn. So we're getting businesses. We're at the beginning of getting commercial development here. We're going to be running lines out to 75 off of Sumter. That's going to be booming out there. So it's coming. It takes time. We can't make it happen overnight.
And let's talk about that for a minute, because yes, while we have momentum in the building industry, the one thing that has definitely relaxed is a new opportunity for the commercial side because of COVID.
Correct.
That to me it's a waste of at least 9 months right now, maybe 10, that commercial has been sitting back checking to see what's going to happen. There's nothing like building a business so you can keep it shut down.
Right. And a lot of businesses suffered this year, small businesses, they were shut down, and, some of them did not recover. And,
right.
I know that's a big question in people's minds. Do I want to make that investment right now only to be shut down and lose everything that I just put in there? So yeah, that's a big piece of the puzzle.
Well, I think that's going to pick up, and I don't know why we got kicked off air, but we're not on air, but we're live on WKDW Facebook page and also Real Talk 97.5. But I'm going to see if I can reboot us here. Yeah, we're back up.
Yeah, it was difficult for a lot of people, and then when you had your quarantines and everything, people went a little stir crazy by being stuck inside. We had the toilet paper boom that everybody had to have 400 rolls of toilet paper per household. It was very nutso out there. It was like we just dealt with a different situation. It seemed like every other day. Something got worse, and then it got better, and then it got worse, then it got better. We just flip-flopped on a lot of things. We didn't have any preparedness for this at all.
And I don't know that we would have on the mass scale that was required with this. Is that and I still haven't quite understood the shortage of toilet paper versus food.
I know. I didn't.
I haven't quite figured that one out yet. But you know, I think things happen, and they happen so quickly that I don't know that anybody was truly prepared. And I'll go all the way through government. I'm not going to pick one side or the other, because the local govern people, you guys, we didn't have a platform for this, did we?
No, we basically, what we did was, under advisement, we followed what the governor put out there. And that's the best way to do things, because when you get up to that level, all of the experts are involved. So if they say we want to shut this down for a little bit, you go ahead and you do that because you feel that you're making the right decision, and it may be the safest way to go. Because you, first off, you don't want to have casualties from your community, from your citizens. You know, hopefully the government can get together and put some, you know, you got your CARES Act, you've got stimulus checks. Granted, they're small, but they can help. I know one business, they lost probably 300 grand, and the CARES Act, I think they got approved, and they will be able to recoup about 50 grand of it. It's not everything, but it's something, you know,
Right.
to where you can get back going again. You know, it's unfortunate, you know, people have come together to help other people out. I've seen that everywhere, you know, so it has been tough. And that's one of the things this year that I was really, really hoping to see, because in last year's budget, we had a lot of people coming down and complaining about the aquatic center and how much that was going to cost to operate. Well, we had plans going forward. We had people coming in that wanted to use it, and we were going to use this year as a test year to see just how much is that going to cost the taxpayers, and do we make a decision on something else? Well, we still didn't get the first year of numbers in properly, so how can we even calculate that? You know, that's just one little example of how it did affect the city. You know, I don't know how much we're going to be at budget going next year. It's going to be coming out here shortly. You know, and it's like, this is the dilemma that we have to deal with.
And this was, you know, here again, I'm going to say this because it's a known fact. This was not self-inflicted, nor is it on anybody else in our town. It's not self-inflicted damage that has caused a lot of these businesses to readjust and really apply for some grants and apply for these loans that are out there to even stay on top of their game. But we are kind of blessed. I've got to say that the fact that we're not shut down to the extreme that some other states are gives us quite the advantage, I believe, in the state of Florida.
No, I agree with that. And each state has their rights to go ahead and mandate their policies themselves. But a lot of the other states that are in total shutdown, those may be some of the states that are affected more than what the state of Florida is as well. And they might need tighter precautions. You know, that's right. Up to the state to figure out what their needs are, you know, to protect their own people.
So just so people understand the flow of things from the commission's standpoint, you guys are making some adjustments too on a local level, but you're really letting Florida government take over, right?
Well, we follow their mandates. You know, if they put in that all restaurants need to be shut down at 11 o'clock because that's what they feel needs to be done, that's what we would follow. That's what they're mandating. So
right.
We did that, you know, and they did that with the restaurants, and they did that with the bars. You couldn't go to a bar. That was a state mandate. So we followed that. Now, some areas in the state have, you know, masks. You have to wear them 24/7. It's not mandated by the state, but that city has the right to go ahead and say, we want masks in our city. We did not do that. We did not put a mask mandate on to the people in the city because it wasn't a statewide mandate. You know, you still have home rule and you still have choice to, you know, sort of play off of what they put out there, you know, for what's better for your city. So we still have some input for our local citizens.
Would you have liked to seen, and I have to ask it this way because no matter how we look at things, hindsight is a great way of assessing for the next time. Is there anything different that you think you guys would have done this, after going through this for the first time ever in our lifetimes? Is there anything that you would like to see readjusted or looked at or talked about?
Well, I tell you what I would like to see, and it doesn't even have to wait till a possible next time. I don't ever want to see a next time, but we did learn a lot of things throughout being in COVID. We learned that we could have meetings virtually. So that saves a lot of money. If I can sit in my office and do a meeting that's in Orlando, then I don't have to travel to Orlando. I don't have to stay in a hotel in Orlando. That's all tax money. That's a burden to the taxpayer. If I can do it from my office, it's not costing any more. So there are things that we've learned that hopefully going forward, we're in the computer age. We've got technology. We can cut down on some of these costs and be able to do it via the computer. So that's what I would like to see going forward because, tax money is a big key. And if we're spending it, yes, it's part of our job to go do these things. And sometimes we have to meet in person, but sometimes we don't. And it's just an added expense. If we could save $100,000 each year, that could go someplace else. We've got, weirs that need to be fixed. Those are water control structures. We got price widening. You're talking millions of dollars. We need to start saving money now. And
I like your outlook there because while it is nice to get together from the camaraderie side of things, it's really more cost effective to do virtual, and on top of that, your time spent might be better off somewhere else. A lot of times, not that you want to take away from those meetings in Orlando or some of these other places, but do you see that as a value across the board? Because I think you could network just as well in a virtual tour or a virtual meeting.
Yeah, I was talking with our lobbyist up there in Tallahassee the other day because we have meetings, like quarterly. And we were talking about Tallahassee. We normally travel to Tallahassee like in March, and it's normally right when we get back from Washington, D.C. So we're dealing with our up the ladder, people like the Buchanans and the Stubies. And we talk with them directly face to face. But he was saying, we don't even know if the Capitol's going to be open this year. I said, well, to be honest with you, I don't know if I'm going to make the trip. I would much rather see it done virtually, or, hey, Orlando just opened one of theirs for the Florida League of Cities. You had your choice of going in person or doing it virtually. I had one meeting. I did it virtually. I'm not going to go over there and stay in a hotel for 2 nights and this, that, and the other when I could just, like I said, sit in my office, do that meeting, and it costs the taxpayers nothing. So, yeah, I think there's different avenues we need to look at when it comes to some of the spending in the city. If we're sending people here, there, everywhere for training, why can't we just send them to their office for 8 hours and get the training over with? You paid them for their day's wage, but we didn't have to send them anywhere. There's a lot of money that can be saved.
And that is a big key. I think for 21, more so than 20 at this point, because we've had to make these adjustments. And you're right, the cost savings is already there. So why flip the switch and go back to what you were doing before when this was just as effective?
Right. And I understand there's some things like, let's say police officers, they have to go and do training. Well, that's totally different because that's probably a hands-on training. How do you do I'm going to wrestle with my computer here and show you how I can do that takedown move. No, it doesn't work that way. So some things you have to go to, but other things I think you can wean off and just do it virtually.
Well, I think we've proven that a lot this year. across the United States. This is, we're doing some stream of our own right now on Facebook with the radio station that we've never done before. And the format allows us to not drag you guys into the office or a neutral location where we can all meet up and be able to broadcast the show, have you guys live on the air. If you'd had to, I know you're using your iPhone, so we're going to work on that technology side of it to make sure we can get you live on the air. That's just something. It's a glitch with the system.
It said I need to upgrade something to be able to do video here. I can get my IT guys working on that. That's not an issue. I was just unaware because I've done Zoom meetings, I've done team meetings, I've done just about every meeting on this computer except for the one that you guys use. So this was brand new to me, and it's way, like Marie said, it's way above my pay grade to figure this out.
And that's okay, but it proves a point. I mean, the fact that we're all making adjustments. Your picture doesn't even, on a virtual meeting, your picture doesn't have to be up there unless you're doing a presentation. Right. You just need the ability to communicate, which we're doing.
Right. And that's like I'm doing this radio show from my office at home, and I'm 10 steps away from the beer fridge. So it is
that's ultra convenient for you.
Absolutely.
Well, I know we've got about 6 minutes left. What's in store for 21 for us to start out the first of the year? Is there anything out there on the agenda that is a hot topic?
Not that I'm aware of. I did put an item up that I've wanted to talk about for a while, and we're going to be discussing it because we've got like this, and this all happened because of COVID and basically because Elaine and Justin. When we do something in a park and we've got a nonprofit or an organization that wants to go and do something, you have to get a special use permit. And going through that process, it's just long, tedious, and it needs to be changed. So on the next meeting's agenda, we're going to discuss about entering into partnerships with the nonprofits because the city cannot make a profit. So I'll give you a hypothetical situation. The Kiwanis want to do an event with the city. All costs are paid. At the end of the event, the profit would go back to the nonprofit organization because the city can't make a profit. Their costs are covered. Let's say they made $500. That would be going back to the nonprofit. This way we can partner up, and the nonprofits, which Kiwanis, I'm going to use them again, it goes back to the children of the community regardless. So why wouldn't the city want to help with these? Their costs are covered, so it's not costing taxpayer money, but you're raising money for children. They do the fishing tournaments. They just did Breakfast with Santa. They do an Easter egg, breakfast, an Easter egg hunt. They do so much for the community, but now with the certain paperwork, the city makes it difficult. No, we got to change that. We got to change that way of thinking.
Well, and those are good things. I think if you can streamline, and we're getting better. As far as the city goes, I'm talking with Public Works and even Parks and Rec. I mean, they're streamlining things now, try to make the ease of use better. They've got their apps out there that they're working with to try to get repairs done quicker. All these things matter. And I think the ability for you guys to assess that right now, and really, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but if you're trying to pull off an event, that's got to be huge because there's wasted time and energy on a topic that really is almost moot. I would think. If you're covering costs, what are the problems?
Right. But for the average day person, let's say you need to have porta potties, you need to have a fire inspection because you got somebody out there cooking with an open flame. Let's say you got X amount of people that are coming and you have to have extra police officers. The normal person would not know everything that they need. And then once they look at that list, they go, oh my God, they did an event at City Hall and it was never done before, but on this list, they had to contact the scat bus drivers to make sure that saying, hey, these lanes aren't going to be used. Well, we don't use them anyways, and we've never been contacted for a special use permit. Why are you calling us now? Just way too much confusion. And
Right.
the average person would just say, to hell with this, I ain't doing it. I'll go someplace else. And that's why a lot of things end up being done in Charlotte County.
Well,
So-
it seems like that's something that's easy. That's that probably would garner a 5-0 vote, I would think.
Yeah, and again, it's just simplifying the process. Just like you said, the departments are already working on simplifying their process. By us being the policy makers, we can make it that much more easier for these departments. Because when they did the COVID graduation, we had 2 departments that were working. One was following the rules one way, one was following the rules the other way. And there was some confusion going on, and it can be simplified to where everybody's on the same page.
Right.
So that's our job to make that happen, you know. So that's coming up in January. We're going to be looking at that and see where we go, and hopefully it'll be easy peasy, and we'll see what the board says.
Awesome. Well, we've got about a minute left. Anything happening with you guys at Christmas time?
There is one thing that I would like to put out here, John, because one of the individuals in the city came up when it was Chris and Vanessa's last meeting, and they said that they filed an ethics complaint against myself, Chris, and Vanessa. Well, I got the results back, and that ethics complaint has become unfounded, unwarranted. So Merry Christmas to the 3 of us. So
No doubt. No doubt.
I wanted to put that out there.
Well, and that's a good thing. Is there anybody you want to wish a Merry Christmas to?
I just want to wish a Merry Christmas to everybody in the community. I hope that they get everything they need. I want to especially thank my wife, Elaine, for everything that she's done for the community and everything she's voluntold me to do. I've been doing major deliveries, so it's fun. It's a fun time of year, and I love to see smiling faces. And I wish everybody at WKDW Radio a Merry Christmas, and I hope everybody has a joyous season.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, I have to give my apologies right up front because I'm up here in Pensacola with my granddaughters, and I was enjoying myself, and I looked at the clock, and it said 2:00, and I said, all right, I got to go because I got to get ready for my radio show, and I forgot that I was in Pensacola, and there's a time change.
Yeah, once you go down 10 a little bit, I guess that's when it flips over.
Yep, just nearing Tallahassee. So I lost track of an hour in my life today, but I was enjoying the granddaughter. Ellie was with me earlier today, and we were running around here in Pensacola, so we were having a blast. But so I apologize to you. I never try to do that, but I wish you and Elaine Merry Christmas and the rest of your family. Just make sure everybody stays safe and drive careful. There's no reason to do anything crazy out there right now. It's the holidays. Just be safe. Keep it simple, stupid, I think, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, since the kids have moved out, I've been putting a lot of time into refabbing this house. So I'm staying close to the beer fridge in the house.
Nice. Well, you guys have a great holiday. Enjoy yourself. It was great talking with you, Pete. I appreciate you coming on. I'm looking forward to having all the commissioners and the city on next year. I'm so excited about having the shows. You guys have done a phenomenal job staying steady for me on my show. So I want to thank you guys up front and honest.
Yeah, we just filled out that calendar in the last meeting for you. So that was fairly easy. We're all ready to go. We're here.
All right, buddy. All right. I appreciate it. You guys have a great weekend or great week. Happy holidays. There'll be a pre-recorded show next Friday, but I'll be live on Monday. Looking forward to it.
All right.
You guys
wish your family hugs and kisses. Merry Christmas.
All right. Thanks, Pete. Appreciate it. Bye-bye now.
Bye-bye.